Ladies and gentlemen, from the creator of Sinister Bunny Studios, this is the Metal Brain Podcast. Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Metal Brain Podcast. Today's episode is yet again another solo episode, which I know is your absolute favorite. You don't like having any of those pesky guests getting in the way of what I have to say. You want to hear me and only me. I know, it's your absolute favorite in the world. Anyway, in better news, things on this end have been picking up just a little bit. Hopefully, by the time I do release this episode, I will have already had other episodes out with actual guests on it. And you guys will have to let me know what you think about having those other guests on there. And this will probably be something that you let me know on YouTube, probably. I think Spotify has a questionnaire type of thing that I can set up that I have not done so yet. It's something that I'll have to kind of mess with, but you know, you can go on the Metal Brain Podcast Instagram and let me know what you think about the guests on there. Hopefully I will have some curated content based off of the actual episodes put up on there so that you guys can kind of get notified when those episodes are up, get notified when those episodes are going to happen. Maybe I can live stream some of the episodes as they are being recorded on Instagram or something like that, or maybe even YouTube. Not sure about that, but no promises. That could just be a cool thing every once in a while, or maybe it's every time. I don't know. We'll just kind of have to play it by ear. I definitely think it's really fun having guests. It's definitely a much more engaging conversation for myself and hopefully my guests. Hopefully I'm a decent person to talk to, but I can never know that unless I'm in their head. I can only take from what they tell me. And hopefully it's all good. But hearing myself talk in these solo podcasts is never a flattering thing, if that makes any sense, because it just kind of is what it is. Because I'm so used to hearing my own voice at this point from years of making videos and songs and music and all sorts of different kinds of content. It's just kind of like drinking water. You know, there's nothing special to it. It doesn't have any kind of crazy awesome taste to it. It's just something that, you know, needs to be done. It's there. It's just kind of like drinking water. And that might be a very, very odd way to describe it, but that's just kind of the best thing I can come with at the moment. It's fun to do if I have a good topic. I can also get in my own head and think about, like, why the fuck would anybody want to listen to me just ramble for however long these episodes are? I think some of the other solo ones were like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Even if I do something longer than that, who in their goddamn right mind would want to listen to me just kind of talk to myself? Even though I'm kind of talking to you guys in, you know, the bigger picture. But as I'm recording this, I'm, you know, just talking to nobody. In a meta sense, I'm talking to you guys, but I'm sitting at my desk, staring at a screen, watching a waveform go across it, and talking into my microphone, coming up with words and phrases and sentences that get recorded. It's honestly a very weird experience, and that's kind of part of what I wanted to talk about in today's episode, is just what it's like to make content. I don't know how I'll title this, but and I don't have an exact structured route that I'm going to take with this, but just the topic of making content, being that kind of person, being that content creator, entrepreneur, business person, having that kind of mind and actually putting in the work and the elbow grease to make some kind of content, whether it's podcasting, whether it's music, whether it's videos, whether it's sketch comedy, whether it's whatever kind of content you want to make, anything under the sun. It's a weird experience, and it's a weird thing to do, because I've talked about this in episodes before, I believe. It's kind of a weird juxtaposition because, well, maybe not a juxtaposition, but it's just a weird thing in general because it's slightly narcissistic to make content that you think other people are going to want to consume. It's narcissistic for me to make these podcasts and expect people to listen to it. It's even more narcissistic for me to make a podcast where I'm just talking and expect people to listen to it because it's just me at that point. There's no any extra variable added to it. There's no guest that adds some kind of spice to the whole dish. It's just plain old like buttered noodles, me. And to think that what I'm saying is valuable enough for many people to listen to and sit through a long form piece of content, that is on a level narcissistic. And even when it comes to making YouTube videos, which I've been doing for a couple of years now, it's the more consistent thing that I've done. That is extremely narcissistic in a way because, again, I'm making content that I'm expecting people to just want to watch. And in that sense, when there's video involved, it becomes even more narcissistic to me because there's the added form of people want to look at my face. People want to look at whatever I'm doing and enjoy it. Having a podcast in something that's basically only audio is one level of narcissism. It's like I'm recording something that I expect people to listen to. On a video level, I'm not only having audio involved that I expect people to listen to, I'm having video involved that I'm expecting people to watch. And in 95% of said video content, my face or some piece of my body is in it. And I'm expecting people to want to see that. If that's not narcissistic on any level, then fuck all. I don't know what's going on in the world. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm an extremely narcissistic person. I think it's just a narcissistic path of creation. I think anybody who's in the world of entertainment, whether it's music, stand-up comedy, film, like actors, directors, musical artists, musical producers, music mixers, mix engineers, master engineers, anybody who makes some kind of a content of any kind has a tinge of narcissism because you want people to hear this creation, whatever part you played in its immaculate conception. I mean, you could have the smallest part in the creation of whatever that content is, and you've got a tinge of narcissism right there and there, right there. That little bit that you added to it makes you slightly narcissistic. Now, hold up, before you get like offended that I'm calling you a narcissist, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not calling anybody who creates any kind of form of content a narcissist. I am sure there are narcissists that are out there. In fact, I'm positive there are narcissists out there that are making some form of content. But I'm not saying that everybody who makes content is a narcissist. I'm just saying that everybody who makes content has a tinge of narcissism within them. And, you know, it could be just the need to be validated, which I think is a lot of why I make content. It's a way to get people to validate what you're doing. And, you know, we can get deep into the psychology of why people grow up seeking validation in different ways, but that's a whole topic for another podcast with somebody who's more of an expert in that field, because I am not that. I am not an expert in psychology. I took a singular psychology class in college, and that was it. So the more knowledge that I have, if any, is in sociological aspects, not psychological, because part of my college degree, if I want to me fancy with a college degree, want to go on that level, one of my minors is in sociology. So it's more of the study of people as opposed to the study of the person. So that actually would be a really cool thing to have some kind of, psychological professional come on as a guest. I think that'd be fucking sweet. It'd be a very interesting conversation to have. But on that level, it's a psychological thing, like I'm saying, but those narcissistic slivers in your brain just are there. Whenever you make any kind of content, just think about it. Do you ever make any kind of content that you don't have any kind of expectation of anybody but yourself to see? Then, I really doubt it. But even then, if you're making things for yourself, that's still narcissistic, because you're making something that you want somebody to consume, and that somebody is yourself, adding an extra layer of narcissism to it. Now, again, maybe I'm crazy for this thought, but I think it's pretty well based in psychology and in how things work. I can't guarantee that it is based in any sort of fact, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it. And I can even say that myself, that I'm narcissistic in that way, that I want to make content for people to consume. It is what it is. I'm not a narcissist, but I have some narcissistic tendencies, which is to make things that I want other people to consume, that are going to give me some form of validation because I made it. So maybe that's what this episode needs to be called. Some form of this. Narcissism in modern media. Sounds like a fucking honors thesis or something, or some kind of essay, a big long paper that somebody had to write for a sociology class, or maybe a what did they fucking call it? I had this sociology class that we talked about these other forms of study that were like psychological social psychology and sociological social psychology, or something like that. Really fucking mouthful, pretentious sounding fields, which, no disrespect to anybody who may be in those fields if I got the names right. It's just, holy moly, it's a fucking mouthful. So it kind of brings me to this topic that kind of gets under my skin, which it's still, narcissism in modern media. It's people who exemplify and amplify that narcissism that exists in media. The people who get very self-absorbed and what I would call cringe-worthy. The people who are just absolutely full of themselves and are probably actual narcissists. The people who not only create content and expect people to see it, but expect and think that they deserve millions of views, millions of followers, millions of dollars. Those people, holy good Lord, I cannot stand them. And they are out there, everybody. They are fucking out there. And anytime I see anything with that, I just cringe. I physically cringe. And one of those things that has kind of promoted that bit of narcissism and self-absorbedness and self-centeredness is the fucking platform TikTok. TikTok has been that platform that has literally brought to the forefront all of the major narcissists. And that's not to say that they didn't exist on platforms before, because there are definitely lots and lots of narcissistic people on Instagram, which again is another form of content, but there's also that fucking crazy level of narcissism. But TikTok, man, there's something about it that really got to me. And I know there's other kinds of content that are out on TikTok that aren't so cringy, that aren't, super superficial and narcissistic and based on how attractive a person is. But the fact that those extremely narcissistic people exist on the platform and oftentimes are the ones that get extremely popular, it completely turned me off from the platform. And I have never once downloaded the app TikTok. I don't have a TikTok account of any kind. And the only TikToks that I've seen are anything that have been reposted to Instagram, Facebook, or that my girlfriend has sent me. That's it. And again, there's good things that are out there that my girlfriend showed me. I have definitely seen my fair share of super funny TikToks, super interesting TikToks. Like, it's short form content. People love that kind of shit. That's why Vine was so successful before, it died. But people love that kind of shit. I'm people. I love that kind of shit. And especially if it's something really cool and really interesting, I can really get lost. And, it's easy to consume because maybe something's only 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or even a minute. It's short form content. You can easily binge a lot of different things, and it feeds everybody's short attention span. But getting back on topic, the narcissism that exists on that platform is so rampant, and I just don't understand. I understand the people who are the ones I'm talking about, who are extremely self-absorbed, extremely self-centered, and all about superficial looks and all that kind of shit. I get it. They get views, and in the end, they end up getting money and stuff. So they can kind of coast their way through life, which is fine. Like, if you are attractive and you're making content that is making you money and it's paying your bills, more power to you. But there are also the people that are groveling in the ground, like myself, who are not blessed with extremely attractive attributes, that are going to be jealous. And it kind of comes down to it. It's what it comes down to, is jealousy in a way. But you can also be extremely attractive and somewhat superficial and popular on a platform like TikTok, but do it gracefully. And a lot of people don't do that. Like, I see a lot of females that are on there that are, scantily dressed, that are, obviously playing on people gawking over them, as much as they maybe try to say that they're not. They know what they're doing. And, it's again, if they can do it and make money, more power to them. But the self-absorbedness in the fact that it's like, I'm going to get all dressed up scantily, get the right camera angle to exemplify this and show this, and just ride the line between being banned and, not exactly pornographic, but just on that tinge of, you might get banned for doing that sort of thing. Those kinds of people I've seen, and those kinds of people I cringe at. Because it's like, look at me, look how attractive I am, meh, and that's it. And that's what TikTok, a lot of it is. It's just attractive people lip syncing to music that already exists. And then these people get extremely popular from it. And I'm like, what the fuck? And this is where the jealousy thing kind of comes into it. Because there's folks like myself who see that. Somebody who takes a 15-second video of themselves, lip syncing to a popular song, and they're attractive and they get millions of views. Well, then I'm on my end doing all sorts of different things to make content, and more specifically with my YouTube channel with Sinister Bunny Studios, putting multiple hours upon hours on writing songs and recording music and recording covers and then shooting a music video for it and editing that all and making some kind of product at the end, putting it out and getting nowhere near as much exposure as that kind of shit. And it's frustrating sometimes because it feels like, hey, I'm putting in all this fucking work, not getting a good reward for it, and you're putting in very little work, riding on your looks, and you're getting all the views. And again, I want to reiterate, this is most definitely a jealousy thing. If you can ride on your looks and be successful on something like TikTok because you're attractive and you get money for it, more fucking power to you. I'm not going to sit here and say, wah, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. People like me don't get enough credit. That's not what I'm saying. It's just kind of a frustrating thing from my perspective. And that's maybe where the juxtaposition comes, where I understand, like I'm saying, if you can do it, cool, do it. Mad respect for you to be able to pay your bills. But also I'm like, fuck you, this is bullshit. You're not putting in as much work as I am, and you're getting way more exposure, way more views. Like, what kind of fucked up world is this where somebody, and again, this is narcissistic, thinking my content is good, but what's wrong with this world where someone like myself makes what I call good content of like metal covers, metal music, guitar videos that have extremely high production, put it out, get maybe some decent views, and then somebody goes and posts a 15-second video of themselves lip syncing to a song and gets so many views. That aspect of the world, I just can't wrap my head around. Like, I get it, a lot of people are superficial. That's why actors a lot of times are really attractive. It just works, sex sells. And as much as you might want to say, well, blah, 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 if I got talent, blah, blah, looks most definitely don't hurt. And if you have an extreme talent, which should get you some kind of notoriety, and you're attractive, boy, oh boy, that is a fucking deadly 1-2 combo. And you are going to do great things. The world definitely focuses on physical attributes way more than it probably should, but the reality of it is that it does center around it from time to time, if not a lot of times. And the worst thing is when, I see a video that's like a TikTok of somebody who thinks they're extremely attractive and, in my opinion, are not, and are doing these things that are like, ooh, I'm so attractive, and they're doing that whole act of somebody who might be attractive getting millions of views, and they're not attractive. And that is the ultimate cringe to me. It is extremely, gut-wrenchingly cringy because, one, you're not much to talk about, as fucked up as that might be for me to say. Two, you're acting like you're a 10 when you're not, and you're playing on this whole thing thinking that you deserve fame, and it all boils down to a form of extreme narcissism. And it's just the way it is. But again, it's so cringy to me. And I might be talking in circles this whole fucking time. But like I said, there's no structure to this. This is just fucking blabbing about the narcissism that exists in, modern media. And TikTok is one of the big fucking hitters that exists right now. And as much as I hate the platform for what a lot of people use it for, in terms of that superficial, I'm so hot, I deserve this fucking thing that exists with it, it's cool that people have been able to use it to make a living, pay their bills, maybe make a little extra side cash. I'm not gonna beat down somebody for, grinding and trying something to, better themselves and bring themselves up a little bit higher. And again, there's probably a lot of those people that I think are extreme narcissists who are extremely attractive, who are making TikTok videos that I think are bullshit because I put in a lot of hours into my content and don't get anywhere near the views and exposure that they get. But there's always going to be that little bit of respect that I have for them to take advantage of the situation that is TikTok and the fact that it does promote a lot of superficial, oh, I'm attractive kind of fucking ideals, and being able to use that to their own advantage. That's just what it is. It's really cool. And that's what a lot of people do in the YouTube world, right? It's trying to take advantage of the system. You're trying to figure out the algorithm. You're trying to use clickbaity titles and thumbnails to get people over there. Like, it's all kind of part of the same system. And I'm guilty of a little bit of it too. I'm not guilty of the I'm so attractive, I deserve this kind of thing because I have, fucking self-confidence issues and don't think I'm that attractive to be able to say that kind of shit. I don't think anybody in the world is attractive enough to sit there and say I deserve everything and anything that I want. But, that kind of thing exists in basically all forms of media at this point. It isn't necessarily just exclusive to TikTok. TikTok is just kind of the big contender the last couple of years. It's just one of the big names, the big heads that are in the game right now. Now, one interesting aspect of this whole kind of topic that I would like to talk to someone who's a little more of an expert in would be like the impacts that it has on younger children. Like all this narcissism and social media, it definitely has an effect on younger kids. I've seen it personally. I've seen children that are like asked what they want to be when they grow up. And what do a lot of them say? I want to be a YouTuber. But now the whole thing is, I want to be a TikToker. Which at least makes me go, oh. Because think about it. Let's just take the kind of surface area that I've scratched on TikTok with the narcissism and self-absorbedness that exists with people who do some of the stuff I've talked about on TikTok. You see kids who, are like, I want to be a TikToker when I get older, or even like, I want to be a TikToker right now. They see these people who are just extremely superficial. And again, I'm not going to blame them for being attractive. If they were born attractive, it is what it is. Fucking take full advantage of it. But when it comes to kids like watching that kind of stuff, right? If they're allowed to watch it, this might cause some issues because one, sure, it gives them heroes and people to look up to and gives them goals to kind of fight for and to progress towards. But think about some of the like psychological effects that might have on a kid growing up, seeing TikTok and all these attractive people and how that gets them all this attention. It kind of feeds back into the whole idea of like, if I'm popular and I'm really attractive, then I get all the attention and people love me. And then that makes people who don't think that they're attractive feel really shitty about themselves. And I don't think that there's ever really any way to avoid that with anything. There's always going to be that. But the whole TikTok thing definitely fucking helps string it all along. I don't think it was as bad with like YouTube. There was definitely like the whole attractiveness thing, kind of lifting people up on YouTube. That's most definitely true. And I'm sure this kind of thing has happened with kids looking at all that kind of stuff on YouTube as well. But I think TikTok kind of more focuses on that aspect more so than YouTube or anything did. And they're going to see these people, oh, they're super attractive and they're doing this. And if I do that, if I'm that attractive, then I can get really popular too. Or I'm not as pretty as this person, or I'm not as handsome as this person, so I must suck. That's definitely going to cause some fucked up issues in some kids. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's definitely going to cause some self-confidence issues majorly with some kids. Like, there's no way around it. Like I said, sex sells. That's always been true. And I'm not saying, just like sex scenes or nudity or anything like that. Sex appeal, attractiveness, all that kind of superficial stuff, it sells big time. And, companies and entities take full advantage of that. And I don't think it's ever going to go away so long as we all look different and there's attractive people and ugly people. It's just always going to be there. But man, I just think about that. And it's just, there are little kids that I know that I worry about because that's a thing. Like, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to make videos. I want to be a TikToker. I want to make these videos. I need to be just like this person. I need to be attractive just like this person. I need to dress just like this person. Then people will love me. God, I worry. And holy shit, I'm sure people worried when the whole YouTube thing popped up and started going off. Like, I'm sure people had these same kind of thoughts that I have. And I'm just like a whole other wave of it because TikTok is the new YouTube type of thing. And you know what? Maybe I'm just fucking crazy for having these kinds of thoughts. Who fucking knows? But, oh my fucking God. truly worry about some people based on that, because I know from personal experience, having self-confidence issues, it's not fun. And if it's something as easy as looking at TikToks while you're growing up and seeing all these attractive people getting all this attention, and you wonder why you're not getting that attention, whew, damn. Like, I feel sorry for the people who are going to have to go through that, because I know damn well there are people out there who let their kids freely use phones and whatnot, and they'll use TikTok, and maybe these kids even post like TikToks, because there are definitely some very young kids making TikToks, whether their parents are helping or not, and even making YouTube videos. It's just, if they have access to a phone, it's just as simple as clicking a couple buttons. And if there's a kid that sees this person who's extremely attractive on TikTok, somebody who's a big TikToker, sees them getting all of this love, and then they try to copy what that person's doing by making their own video, and they post it, and they get like no attention, they're going to feel really shitty about themselves, and that's going to cause some psychological fucking damage. And I don't fucking know, man. Like, I really want to talk to somebody who's more of an expert in that field to get some more information on this, because this is just me fucking going off in whatever direction the conversation takes me. But this is definitely going to have some psychological effects on some of the younger generations. It's for sure. And I'm not going to sit here and say I think TikTok should be taken away or anything like that. Fuck no. It's freedom of speech. Like, you do what you want to fucking do. I just know that there are always going to be some kind of negative repercussions for anything that happens. For any reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For any action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It's the way of fucking life. It's how it works. It's just scary sometimes. And there was one other thing I was kind of worried about with TikTok that I was going to touch on, and maybe I will a little bit, but I do an err on the side of caution, because I think it is frowned upon as per like TikTok's user guidelines. But that is like straight up sexual content on TikTok. I remember not too long ago where my girlfriend was like, oh my God, you'll never fucking believe that this is on TikTok. And it was just like straight up nudity and sex. Like, a guy and a girl were going at it, and you could see a lot of things that you probably shouldn't have seen on TikTok. And as far as I know at this point, I think that is kind of frowned upon for TikTok, but I'm not positive on that. Again, I'm not super familiar with it, but that's a big no-no, especially, you gotta have all this content where it's supposedly family friendly and kid friendly, and then all of a sudden you can swipe up and see that. Oh boy, you got some problems on your hands. And I think that's kind of what TikTok found out among that kind of shit happening. Not that they necessarily knew or promoted that kind of stuff to happen, but it fucking happened for sure. And oh boy, I just remembered another platform I have yet to mention in this episode that pertains very well to the topic at hand. And that is, dun dun dun, OnlyFans. That thing, as much as, you know what, if you do it, fucking cool. If you pay your bills doing it, fucking cool. If you enjoy doing it, fucking cool. However, narcissism exists within this platform as well. Along the same lines as what I talked about earlier, there are people who are attractive and will make an OnlyFans, whether or not they do sexual stuff or provocative stuff is beyond me. I don't think you have to do that. I don't think it needs to be pornographic in any way, but suggestive. It's a subscription service to see people's content, and it could be just feet pictures. It's just something. It's an exchange of access to content. It's money for access to a range of content. And the narcissism finds its way into this platform as well. For those really attractive people who are like, you know what, I get a lot of attention, I deserve money, and get to doing whatever they do. The other side of the narcissism also exists where I have seen where a lot of people are like, buy my OnlyFans. It's like the people you went to high school with are like, hey, buy my OnlyFans. And you're like, what the fuck? Why do you expect people to do this thing? And it's like, not to be mean, but some of them are not attractive. And again, I don't have a lot of room to talk about attractiveness, but everybody had an OnlyFans because they saw it as a way to make easy money. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to do an OnlyFans and I'm going to make one and I'm going to make a lot of money. And I expect people to consume my content, subscribe, or however OnlyFans works because they think I'm attractive and I'm a catch. And with that, they think of themselves as attractive and worthy of that kind of attention. I really can't believe I almost forgot about OnlyFans, but it's definitely one of those contenders. TikTok and OnlyFans are probably the two big names that have come up in the last couple of years, and I think maybe are the top two for being, filled with narcissism. Maybe Twitch too, for those like provocative Twitch streamers that, ride the line of being, close to getting banned kind of thing. And if you know what I'm talking about, I don't really need to go into detail about it. But those people exist as well. It exists on every platform. To be honest, I just think, again, TikTok and OnlyFans, because they're somewhat newer, are kind of at the forefront and leading the charge on these kinds of things. And a lot of times people don't think about the negative repercussions of platforms like this. And again, like I've said probably for the millionth time, I don't think any of these platforms should be taken away. I don't think any of these platforms should be like dismantled or anything bad, because if there's people that are allowed to do it and they can do it freely of their choice and make money from it, and it's within respectable guidelines, and by that I mean like you can't just freely post nudity and stuff to TikTok where little kids can see it, then you know what? I don't really care. It's freedom of speech and expression. Do what you want. If that's your thing, then you do it. And if it works for you just for fun, or maybe you have a business out of it, then fucking do it. Make that money, get that attention, do whatever it is you got to do. There's always going to be the people like myself that are jealous of the amount of work some people may or may not have to put in to their content to become popular and get views and attention and validation. And that's just kind of how the world works, unfortunately / fortunately. But I think I've drained most of what I've got on this topic. Like I said, it would be really interesting to get somebody else in on this, and with some of my other guests. Hopefully I touched on it a little bit, or will touch on it with future guests. Maybe get an expert on it in some kind of way. I'm not sure how that would work. That's narcissistic to think that I'll be able to get someone like that on here, but it all ties back in. That's it. Follow the Metal Brain Podcast on Instagram, Spotify, all that fun stuff. And thanks for coming along for another episode of me talking to a wall and my screen, talking by myself in the most narcissistic way possible, and expecting you guys to listen all the way through. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Metal Brain Podcast, and I'll see you next time, hopefully with a guest, and stay metal, my friends.